Yes. Nice to meet you. Nice. Wow.
I'd like to begin by asking Ms. Steinberg to unveil the plaque.
5 years ago, I was granted the opportunity to renovate and modernize the wind tunnel control room in the Faculty of Aerospace Engineering. I leapt at the chance. Just think, that green leather chair I sat in was the same chair Golda Meir sat in. The phone I was holding was the same phone she held. I immediately had a special connection to generations past. That was a thrilling moment in time. My goal is to leave a legacy of saving lives going forward. Israel's a shining light into the world. This project will keep Israel's light shining brighter. Thank you. Very much.
Good morning, everyone. I'm happy to represent the Technion management here and thank Ms. Leesa Steinberg personally on this wonderful gift to the Faculty of Aerospace Engineering and to the Technion at large. The control room, the renovated control room that we have inaugurated today is part of the wind tunnel complex of the Aerospace Engineering, and this is a very important complex, first for the research carried out here in this faculty by generations of researchers. As you have seen, the facility was built in the early 50s, and ever since we have been adding and renovating and refurbishing and patching, etc., etc. But the importance continues to this day. Some of you may not be aware of it, but in fact there are very, very few facilities of this kind in Israel. And when I say very few, I mean you need only 2 fingers to count them. And therefore the importance for not just the research, but the safety and security of the State of Israel is immense. The Faculty of Aerospace Engineering has a long history, and maybe we'll hear a little bit about it from the Dean later on. But you know, we are here at the Board of Governors celebrating the relations between the Jewish people and us in Israel. And you'll hear more about it during the noon event today. And I think this particular faculty represents this link, this bond, perhaps better than any other faculty. Starting with the early days of Professor Sidney Goldstein, who was brought here from Manchester, UK, and established the foundations for the faculty as well as for the research paradigm of the Technion in general. And then going over the years, the faculty has absorbed researchers and students coming here from all over the world. We have Professor Penina Todd here with us someplace, came here from Greece, and again generations. And finally, our Master of Ceremony, Professor Lefkovich, is a relatively newcomer, new ole from the United States of America. So this is like a little microcosmos of the general scheme of what we do here, and therefore the connection with Canada is just one piece of the puzzle. And that brings me to the Canadian Technion Society, or in its modern word, Technion Canada. If you look around this campus, you'll find numerous sites that were built or renovated with the support of Technion Canada. Just above us, we have the Canada building. Somewhere below us, we have the Schulich Faculty of Chemistry. A little to the west of us, we have the Canada dorms. In the Faculty of Architecture and Town Planning, you will find the Azrieli Library. You go to Tel Aviv, you have the whole Azrieli Sarona campus of the Technion, etc., etc. So we are grateful to this organization that is represented here by some of its officials. We have Doreen Green here with us, the chairperson of Technion Canada. We have Elisa Greisman there, the CEO of Technion Canada. We have some of the lay leaders from different places in Canada, and especially from Montreal, the hometown of Leesa. We have Erwin Taub. So on behalf of the Technion, thank you to Technion Canada for everything you've been doing for us over the years. Finally, it brings me to the lady sitting right next to me, Ms. Leesa Steinberg. Leesa follows the example set by her parents, Jack and Gertrude, who, yes, they became quite influential and wealthy, but they thought about others, and they set an example of philanthropy in Canada and elsewhere. And so Leesa followed the footsteps of her parents and became herself very, very philanthropic, particularly to the academia in Israel. We are proud of her contributions, not only to the Technion, but to the Weizmann Institute of Science and the Hebrew University in Jerusalem. So she's been an avid supporter of these three organizations, and as an Israeli citizen, I thank you for all of it. As a Technion citizen, I thank you specifically for what you are doing here and what you will continue to do here for our students and for our research and for Israel. Thank you very much.
I have my personalized mission statement for supporting Israel. It comes from my heart, it comes from my soul. I follow the footsteps of my Canadian cousins, the Dauberns and the Steinbergs, and especially my aunt and Uncle Helen and Sam Steinberg, the matriarchs and patriarchs of the Steinberg fortune, the Steinberg Empire, and I'm literally following in my family's footsteps. And I came to Hebrew University because my cousin Louis Daubern, he was president of Hebrew University in Montreal for over 10 years. I came to Weizmann through my good friend, Susan Stern, and she guided me after my mom passed away into supporting research in regenerative diseases because my mother suffered of mini strokes. And I said I had to do something. I had to stop this. And then I had an opportunity to do diabetic research because I have some, well, health issues. And then Susan said, okay, how about a laboratory? A robotic biology laboratory in the Weizmann campus, and that was 7 years ago. It's still thriving. And then I was granted this wonderful opportunity 5 years ago, and I couldn't say no. And I look at it this way. The more I can support Israeli institutions of learning, the more they can support Israel. The more Israel supports the rest of the world, the safer we are as Jews. That's my mission statement, supporting Israel. I believe with every fiber of my being. Thank you for this wonderful opportunity. Thank you.
And next, I'm going to invite Professor Itzhak Frankel, the Dean of the Faculty of Aerospace Engineering, to speak.
Good morning and welcome, everybody. I apologize, I keep forgetting my tag, but I'm Itzhak Frankel, the Dean of the department. I think that initially I had in mind talking only about the wind tunnel complex, but following Boaz, I'll take the liberty and say a few words about the department in general. Our department was established in 1950. This was shortly after the end of our bloody independence war. The country was then recuperating from a very long and bloody war, and was facing or was coping with waves, hundreds of thousands of Jewish Holocaust survivors from Europe and Jewish refugees from the neighboring Arab countries. And still, in the midst of such a troublesome era, we had a visionary leader, our first Prime Minister, David Ben-Gurion, who actually decided on the establishment of this department. He had a vision that maintaining air power would be an essential element to guarantee survival of the State of Israel in the hostile, or at least then hostile, neighborhood. The department was initially established in 1950 as actually a research unit, and 4 years later, in 1954, the instruction of students started. The first class was graduated in 1958, and as journalists usually like to say, the rest of history is history. Our graduates literally built the Israeli aircraft industry and much of the defense-related industry has been established and still guided by our graduates. And also connecting to one theme in Boaz's talk is that we have been in recent years very successful in recruiting young members of faculty who actually didn't grow up in Israel. We have Joe Lefkovich, who's a graduate of MIT and Caltech. We have Ian Jacoby, sitting behind me, is a graduate of Caltech and has had his postdoc fellowship at Princeton. We have Benici Corel, which is abroad now, who's a graduate of Purdue. And we have Dan Zalazo, who is a graduate of University of Washington at Seattle. All of them could find a position in the best schools over the world, and nevertheless they chose to join us. And part of it is that we have the Technion has a very good name, and our department also strives for excellence. We came in, you may have heard about Shanghai ranking. So last year we were 22nd in the world, and the year before we were 8th in the world. So we're striving for excellence. You can see, well, the sign covers some of what is written there, but this is our vision to become a world-class university, and I think we're doing our best to be there. Now, if I still have a few minutes, I want to say a few words about the wind tunnel complex. Wind tunnels are the primary means for experimental research of aerodynamic configurations, as well as an essential tool in the process of improving the preliminary engineering design of flight vehicles. The Technion wind tunnel complex was established in the 60s as a national lab and was the only facility of its kind in Israel through the early 80s, when wind tunnel complex was established in the Israel aerospace industry. Yet the complex here still serves many organizations of the Israeli defense industry, including Rafael, Elbit, Israel military industries, as well as some smaller and startup companies, and of course academic research and instruction. The complex is unique in the sense that the 4 tunnels cover almost the entire range of Mach numbers relevant to aerodynamic research. For the benefit of the audience, the Mach number is the ratio between the airspeed and the speed of sound, which is the most important parameter characterizing high-speed flow conditions. Thus, 2 tunnels operate in the lower subsonic range. 1 covers the transonic airspeeds. going over the Mach number 1, and one well into the supersonic range between Mach numbers of 1.6 and 3.5. While lower subsonic tunnels are found in numerous academic institutions, the Technion is one of a few universities throughout the entire world with comparable transonic and supersonic facilities. The control room is the nerve center of the entire complex. The system should allow for control of the airspeed and pressure, as well as orientation of the model within the tunnel with a time resolution on the scale of microseconds. The old system was built over 40 years ago, before the computer era, and was hence outdated. Many of its components were electromechanical, manually operated, which required extensive maintenance efforts, often causing serious delays in scheduled experiments. Furthermore, in the lack of spare parts, much of the equipment became obsolete. All these made it difficult to control even simple profile experiments, let alone complex ones. What you see is a photo I presented when a year ago I had to deliver a report to the steering Senate committee of the Technion. And on the right you see the photo which is also on the wall there. You can recognize the Prime Minister, the late Golda Meir, sitting on the right, which shows that this photo was taken over 45 years ago because it's the early 70s. And on the left you can see the room as it looked just a year ago. And I told the crowd, the audience in that meeting, that if they were participating in a game show, finding the difference, they may recognize that some of the chairs have been replaced by newer ones. But otherwise, what you don't recognize is that most of like these large cabinets were obsolete. They were no longer functional, and also the table in the control table in the middle of the room was no longer working. So we are therefore deeply grateful to Mrs. Steinberg for her generous donation, which has enabled the upgrading of the control room and system. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you for that wonderful summary. Thank you.
Next, Professor Penina Todd would like to say a few words.
Good morning. My name is Penina Todd. I'm serving as the Dean of Students, and I'm also a member of this faculty. I'm heading the Rocket Propulsion Center. And first of all, I would like to sincerely thank Ms. Steinberg, because it's a tremendous gift. And I would like to make perfectly clear to all of us that the Faculty of Aerospace Engineering, this department, is a necessity for the existence of Israel. And for that, I thank you very much.
It takes a great heart. It really does. I just know this room will save countless lives going forward. And this is my mission for this project. I hope to save thousands of lives going forward, and this is a good start. Thank you for this wonderful, wonderful, heartfelt opportunity. Thank you.
Let me just take the opportunity and also thank Mark Hoifman, the engineer who led the entire renovation. And of course, we are really indebted to Leesa. Thanks a lot.
Mark, come here. I gotta give you guys for your wonderful hard work. I appreciate it so much. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Steinberg.
You're welcome.
This has been an incredibly generous gift to the faculty. It's made the extremely important updating of the control room possible, and we're all in your debt.
Thank you.